Hello, my name is Jason Bird, and I want to talk to you about miracles. Miracles still happen in the right here and the right now in our present day. And I want to share with you my Christmas miracle that happened in 2009 and how this little ornament here fits into that Christmas miracle. It's interesting. You're going to like this. So, what started our Christmas miracle is my wife and I got married in 2007. I was 33 years old. My wife was 28, and we had known each other since we were little kids. So when we got married, we just decided, hey, we know each other. We went to church together since we were children. We've been friends for all these years. We want to start our family right away. We don't want to wait another 2, 3, 4, 5 years to decide to have children. We want them soon. And we found out pretty quickly that the possibility of us having a child was really slim. And we had some medical issues in the way, and either it was going to take some medical intervention or it was going to take a miracle for us to have a child. And I wanted like 10 kids. My wife didn't, but I wanted 10, so I wanted a big family. And it was really disappointing when we found out that we might not get to have a child. And so we sought out some medical treatment. We were praying to, but we went to one of the top fertility doctors in the Cincinnati area. And we decided on a treatment that we felt comfortable with and didn't feel like it went against our morals and ethics. And our insurance covered it, so that was a plus. But with this treatment, we had 3 tries to get it right. And only 3 times in a year would our insurance cover this treatment. So we had the first one and it failed. It was very disappointing. We had the second one and it failed. And we only had one more shot for the year. So my wife decided that it just didn't feel like the right time to her. So we weren't going to do it. So we began to pray and ask God to give us a child. And if you've went through, infertility, and to think that you're never going to hold your own baby, you're never going to pass on your name, all those things my wife and I were feeling, and it's devastating and it's tormenting almost. And people come up to you and ask you, when are you going to have kids? Why haven't you had kids yet? When are you going to have one? And you feel like saying no. Well, you feel like saying a lot of stuff, but you bite your tongue, right? You don't say it. But some people ask inappropriate things sometimes, not meaning to. But it's hurtful. But we had an older sister in our church named Sister Margie Lear, and she prayed for us like you wouldn't believe, for us to have a baby. I mean, she was sincere about it, and she had a lot of faith, and she prayed for us to have a child. And, I told you about this little ornament here. Here, get a close look there. See, it says the birds, Aaron, Jason, and Ethan. But when we got this, it didn't say Ethan. My cousin, Carrie Embry, bought us this ornament. Her and her husband, brother Nathan Embry, and Nathan was the best man at my wedding. And they bought us this ornament for our family as a faith ornament. And no child was in sight. We didn't know if we'd ever get to have one, but she said she felt just compelled to buy this for us. So she bought it and had the birds put on it. She bought it and had Jason put on it and Aaron put on it. And then the little one that has Ethan's name, it was just blank. And it was for us to put in later. So we hung this on our tree in 2009 without a child, in faith that God was going to hear and answer our prayer. So December in 2009, my wife decided that, yes, she wanted to try the treatments again. So, we made arrangements, to meet with the doctor and get a game plan together. And come January 1st, we were going to start fertility treatments again. So I want to talk about the Christmas miracle. One of my lines in the play is, it's a season of miracles. Christmas in Juneberry, December the 8th at 7 p.m. and December the 9th at 6 p.m. We're going to be performing the play, and I'm Sheriff Randy Baylor. And this is one of my lines. It's a season of miracles. See, I found out a long time ago that Christmas really is a season of miracles because God gave me a miracle. So it's December the 18th, 2009, and we were at our church, the Pentecostal Holiness Tabernacle, and Aaron and I had volunteered to clean our church. Families take months about cleaning, so it was our month. We have a pretty good sized church, so we had cleaned it, and there was only one vacuum available that night. So my wife was going to vacuum the hallways, the Sunday school rooms, things like that, and then I would vacuum the sanctuary and the offices. So I did what I normally do when I have a break and I'm at the church, by myself, or just me and Aaron, or, well, I don't care if there's all kinds of people around. I went to the piano and I started playing the piano and started singing, and I was singing the old song, The Unseen Hand. And as I was singing that song, the presence of God came down like, I can't explain it. It was an unbelievable religious experience. It was just wonderful. I was just engulfed in his presence. And I began to really cry out to God as I sang that. The Spirit of God came down on me, and I began to sing in the Spirit, and just felt God's power. And I eventually just laid my head down on the piano and began to pray. And as I prayed and got, really just overtaken by the Spirit of God, and just surged with faith that God was really going to hear my prayer, and that God, I could really hold to the unseen hand. And it came into my consciousness that I didn't hear the vacuum running anymore, and that I needed to get Aaron, and we needed to pray together. We needed to get down and pray together. So I went off the pulpit, just surrounded by the presence of God, and I found Aaron in the back pew praying. And I got down beside her, and we began to pray, and we just gave this to the Lord, and we asked the Lord to give us a child to meet our needs. But if he decided not to give us a child, that we loved him and we were going to serve him no matter what. But we really wanted this baby, but we would take his answer, whatever it was. And for the first time since we found out that we weren't possibly going to be able to have a kid and have a child of our own, we got peace. We really laid it down before the Lord, and we got peace over it. But while we were praying, and as we were getting up from prayer, I asked Erin if she didn't care to go up to the front of the church and let's get the anointing oil, and let's anoint her with oil and pray for God's healing and pray that God would give us his child. So we began to pray, and Erin really just broke down before God and really gave it to the Lord, and really cried out to him and asked him for his help and his healing. And my prayer was too, not only for a child, but that God would show Aaron that he was more powerful than a doctor, that he could do more than a doctor could. Aaron's got a lot of faith in the medical community, and I just wanted her to have a lot of faith in God. She did, but we get little headaches, or we get little problems, and a lot of times our first thought is, let's call the doctor. And sometimes let's run to Jesus, So we prayed, and we anointed her with oil, and we prayed the prayer of faith. And us being Pentecostal holiness people, we really got into that prayer, and we really got to believe in God. And it being Christmas time, we have a beautiful nativity set up on our remembrance table at the church. And I don't know what got a hold of me, but I just reached over in the nativity, and I took baby Jesus out of the nativity, out of the manger, and I put it in Aaron's hands. And I just felt led to pray that way. And I said, God, the birth of your son was impossible. And if you can cause your son to come forth, then you can give us a child. And we really began to pray that way. And it was just amazing. And we left that church that night, just not there during service, just there cleaning, just there doing our part as a church member. And we left there with peace and with joy, not knowing if we would ever have a child, but whether we did or whether we not, God heard us, God loved us, he was able, and we would just accept his will no matter what. And it was just wonderful that we were able to have peace for the first time in a long time over this, and to feel God's comfort. And again, on our Christmas tree was hanging this ornament that said Jason and Aaron, and just a little baby with no name on its head. So we went through our Christmas season, believing, and we continued to pray. And January 1st came, and Erin's treatment was that she would take this medicine. She would wait a few days. She would go into the doctor. They would do a sonogram to see if the conditions were right for us to proceed with the procedure we had chosen. And so January 1st came, and she took that medicine. She went to the doctor and had the sonogram to see if the conditions were right. And he said that we did not need to go through with the treatment, that he would if we wanted to, but he felt that it was a waste. There was one tiny little egg, and it was so small that it just wasn't viable. He didn't feel it would be a viable treatment. And so we were disappointed again and brokenhearted. You know when you're a childless couple why Hannah was before God, crying and praying for a baby. You know why Rachel said, "Give me children, else I die." You feel that way. And so it was disappointing. But the doctor, said, "Well, you can try on your own," but really didn't give us any hope. And we would just wait to February and we would start the treatment all over again. But we really believe that God heard our prayer on December the 18th, 2009. I knew it. I just believed it. Yeah, doubt came, and you don't want to be a name it and claim it, but I really just felt like God heard our prayer. And so on January the 30th, we were at Walmart in Aurora, Indiana, and I just said, "I think God's healed you. I think you need to buy a test." And she kind of looked at me like I was crazy, which I get that look a lot because, well, if you know me, I'm a little bit crazy. So she bought that test on January the 30th. And on February the 1st, she was supposed to start taking the medication again. But on January 30th, the 1st, that was a Sunday morning, Erin got up and she took that test, and it was positive. I tell you, I thought I would lose it. We were so overjoyed and so happy. So Monday, she calls the doctor and she's like, "I took this test and it's positive." Well, we went in and they were excited, but not too excited. They were like, "Well, it happens that way sometimes." But they didn't get overly overjoyed. We went back for the next appointment a few weeks later. And then they got excited, let me tell you. And he began to measure the baby. And he just began to tell us, "Look how much this baby's grown. This means it's a viable pregnancy." And so, we were just overjoyed that God really did hear, our prayer for a child. And on September the 30th, 2010, we got Ethan. And just let me tell you, God does hear. I'm sorry. God does understand. And God sees our broken heart and our tears. And He really can move. He's moved by the feelings of our infirmities. And He is able to heal. And He's able to fill childless arms. So, by that next Christmas, this little ornament got Ethan's name written on it. So my cousin had faith that God was going to hear our prayers. Aaron and I had faith that God was going to hear our prayers. Sister Margie Lear had faith that God was going to hear our prayers and answer our cry. And God gave us a child. And so in this season of miracles, come out to our play, Christmas in Juneberry. Believe in miracles. You can have your Christmas miracle this year. Whether it's you don't have a child, God can give you one. You're sick in your body, God can heal you. You're not where you need to be with God, God can mend that relationship with Him. Reconcile sinners back to God. Christmas is a season of miracles. Just believe.